Good afternoon, ma'am. Welcome everyone. Ma'am, can you hear me, ma'am? Lakshmi, ma'am. Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good
Yeah.
afternoon, ma'am. Shall we begin, ma'am?
I have no issues
Okay, ma'am. So,
because I don't want to run fast.
yeah. So, yes. So, good afternoon, everyone. So, it's again a pleasure to extend no welcome to all for this second day of this webinar series on exercising legal rights for women and girls with disabilities. Uh, hope you can hear me well. Am I audible, Rafiq sir? Yes,
Yes,
sir.
ma'am. You are clear, na. You are audible.
Okay, sir. Yes. So for request to the participants is mute yourself, webcam and microphone, so that we save no better for that better bandwidth. So I request participant to put their questions in the chat, or at the end of the session you can unmute yourself and ask your questions to madam, or otherwise whenever you feel, you just write them in chat. We will take it at the end of the session. So we had yesterday madam session on know the law, why law, and so many things. And today madam is going to discuss on educational rights with us. So I hope everybody is awaiting to hear from madam as like me. So I request madam to start the session. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. You spoke too many things which may not be happening actually. Uh, it's so funny to have a session after lunch, and especially lawyers also doze off in the court halls. So the same thing may happen here also, I know. But anyway, let us make it a very lively one. Where there is an interest, automatically every one of us will have something to take up and go ahead. With that same note, I would like to take it. And any doubts from yesterday, please you can ask me today, because yesterday there was some shortage of time, so I was rushing very fast. But today I think I had, and wherever and duties would come up, and ask you people to look into those aspects so that it would be of use to you in future from both sides. One, you will try to tell it to your students, their parents, or other institutions wherever you're working, as of their rights, and the other would be for your own benefit. If you know your limits into which we can work and what we can do, up to what extent, nobody can blame us, and that becomes what do you call, a very good uh, point to say that in future when a litigation or somebody complains, you can say that I have taken due diligence. That is the only remedy that is available for all those people who are working in government institutions or funded by government. Fact, when we just run through this terminology, you would come across there were only two situations wherein a person who is sincerely doing work may get exempted or may get out of a tricky situation. The one which you follow due diligence. That is, you follow all the procedure. Let me tell you one thing, the law, yesterday introduction, whatever I was trying to tell you, is mainly based on the procedure. Whatever procedure you try to do, if it is done systematically, step by step, we would have no issues. Yeah. So this particular step by step procedure is coded. Yesterday I was showing you in CPC and CRPC there are two procedure codes which the whole country follows. At the same time, in other countries also, everybody has a common codes like this. So the end result is not important for us, but how you have come to that extent is more important for us. So, for that very reason, today I'll just run through these two. One is act, one is rules. Act tells you that what act can be done, what act cannot be done. Act here doesn't mean one particular activity. Here it is a compilation of different rights of different persons with disabilities, as what we saw yesterday. And these put together, we have called them as act. And yesterday I was telling you there would be some rules also. So here, out of and yesterday we saw there is a legislature, there is an executive. Legislature makes laws only once. Probably when a lot of issues come up, then only it goes for amendment and a newer version may come up. The whole thing may be renewed. I mean, the old one is repealed, removed in the layman's term, and a new act comes, like the way PD Act was repealed and our PD Act came into application. But if I want to remove one particular provision, for example, in Right to Education Act, when it was enacted in 2010, they forgot to add certain things related to persons with disability. I think you all must be knowing. Now, for that very reason, they had to quickly send it back and say that only one particular provision has to be amended. What was that? Provide free and compulsory education up to 18 years for the persons with disabilities. Earlier, it was only till 14 years. So now they had to amend this. So that was a small amendment to a particular part of it. So we don't remove the whole thing. We just make corrections, delete, add, or do something that is called as amendment. So in such a situation, this particular act that stands before you has, for the sake of flexibility of executive, from time to time, they are empowered with some rule making power. This is given under section 100. Now, when I say section, every house, the way you have different rooms and all that, every book has different chapters, different subheadings in a chapter. Similarly, an act also will have different chapters. At the same time, there would be different sections. We give them numbers. Let me tell you, these numbers are more important when we quote before the court, because it is a simple way of expressing in English language certain code of conduct, which I was telling you yesterday. We have certain customs, traditions that we taken them up. We wrote them in a beautiful English language and we convey it to in the form of writing. Now, this is how it is presented here. Now, every act will have a title, that is a name. So here, the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act is a full name, and in short, we all call it as RPD Act. So that is the short name. And probably when we write everywhere, it is written as rights of persons with disability. Everyone. We have certain side headings also, and the present PDFs, whatever I have sent, and I asked your display or into your WhatsApp group, so that you people will run through parallelly along with me instead of making a PowerPoint presentation which makes no sense at while reading a law as such. At least you people should know where, what, if you have some way of record something, it's excellent. Now, coming to part, yesterday I mentioned at some point that this was the disability was actually a state subject. It was listed. We have in Constitution some three lists, and this was listed in state list. And that means whenever what do you call a state has capacity, financial as well as human resources, only then they can uh, enact a law for the disabled. This was the delay I was telling you yesterday. So for that reason, under international obligation, what then the government did was, let us put this. They made a small amendment and they shifted this disability related enactments to be concurrent in the sense where the union as well as center both will have a right to say. That means there would be only one central legislation, but when it comes to distribution of work, it would be a three-tier mechanism. That means instead of keeping everything at one central point, you would have at a state level and also at the district level. So that is we call three-tier system, which even we have adopted in the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act. This is the way in which we can just reach out to the ground level uh, as far as possible with the running. Yesterday I was telling you the running system should be caught up. So wherever it was possible, medical issues we got attached with PHCs. Then anything with relate to education, we get attached with special schools. Now earlier it was, now under right to education we are catching up with the regular schools. But when it comes to application, the states have been given some what do you call flexibility to create certain schemes and all that. Now, when it comes to these schemes implementation, the state will have their own staff members and all those people. That is where the difference comes, and I believe few of you have doubts with regards to some who are the authorities whom we should approach or for implementation and all that. All said and done, now my point here is why it is humanly impossible now at this juncture with 26 states and some union territories and all having independence to draft their own schemes and all that wherever it is possible and appoint certain staff for execution. So, and it is impossible for me also to discuss or clear your doubts related to a particular scheme enacted in particular state or in implementation issues and all that. So I'm giving you a general, again, I use the word general because from general to specific, it all depends on your state. Now, when we come down to the act with the list, now when I go into, we begin with international obligation. Every act, when it is enacted, uh, please, can you open up? Can you, if you have opened your the documents?
Yes, ma'am. We have sent to their WhatsApp, ma'am. So, yeah, which one we have to open, ma'am? The Gazette of India or?
No. Please open the act, the
Okay,
Right
ma'am.
to Persons with Disabilities Act,
Yes, ma'am.
right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah. So that everybody will understand that how, I mean, maybe most of you know, but still for a better understanding. And I'm making my ground easier for the next sessions and all that. So are we ready with this? We have opened. Then I'll
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Lakshmi. The act's name is Rights of Persons with Disability. Right? Okay, that's good. Then the year is important. The year is important. The year in which it was enacted, 2016. Right? So this is very important because when it gets majorly amended, probably it goes. Otherwise, it comes in brackets and all as amended, all that kind of thing. Right. So let's quickly go to certain principles over there, probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th line. And whereas the aforesaid convention lays down the following principles for empowerment. Right? Now, can you just run through those principles?
Yeah.
Uh, Almost, yeah. Right. The inherent dignity. I won't read the whole thing, but I'll ask you people to just go through. And then in that, the word dignity is very important for us. And the word freedom, including the freedom to make one's own choices. Let me tell you, Indian Constitution, yesterday when I was telling you something called as fundamental rights. So these fundamental rights have a special fundamental right called as freedoms under 19 article, article number 19. Very well, you all know. I have a right to speak. I have a right to listen to music. I have a right to jump around. Whatever things you want to say, you have those 7 to 8 freedoms under that. But here, the one which is more important is Article 21, the word dignity, inherent dignity. That means it is within us. Every one of us are born with something or the other that has to be respected by others. So I have my own dignity. When I speak here, others also should respect. Yesterday we saw you have the right versus duty. Now, when that right and duty are correspondingly there, when one person speaks, the other person has to wait for some time. This is inherently and it is intended that it should be observed. So, when both of them are shouting, there is chaos. So, one has to observe certain code of conduct that should be within us. Nobody should impose on us. That is a main principle with which every act or everything, this particular not this particular act, every law that has come up in different areas is expecting this from the public. So in that issue, the most of the time you all talk about the dignity should be given. It is there now. There are A to H sub clauses over there. Now in this A to H sub clauses, the words which you come across now the act in every section, in every area, that means in every walks of their life, these words have to be included. So when the topic for these webinar series was identified, when you say education, education is not just one particular area, it goes along with others also. Now, others in the sense the women and children demarcate between male and female. The laws were never like that. But now we have to specifically mention because the situations have changed. Now, why? Why a woman or a girl child should be mentioned in this act also? It is mentioned. No other act has this. Reason is this is a comprehensive, for all the areas, all walks of life of every individual should be included in this. So wherever if I miss out on the general law somewhere, this act should provide that benefit for these people. Now in that situation, next let's see the non-discrimination, please. It would be there again. Full and effective participation, inclusion in society. This word inclusive in society, inclusion word, let me tell you, it is not to write to inclusion of education alone. It is meant for inclusion in all aspects. So for that very reason, right to yesterday, in one of the slides I was telling you, Right to Education Act came up much later than your UNCRPD. So in that situation, the convention was in 2014, and but we used in CRPD this inclusion word before itself. Then come to persons with disabilities, right? In human diversity and humanity. Next, equality of opportunity. If Indian Constitution guarantees this under Article 14, automatically it's there that we have to treat everybody equally. And I told you, in treating equality, we have to respect were yesterday, the way I told you, women, disabled, and all these people. So because they were subjected to certain kind of this atrocity, so that is why we have included this. Even to these people also. Then come to accessibility. Somebody has a doubt on this word accessibility, but this accessibility is in all walks of life. It's not just merely physical movement, but it is in every aspect of their life. Now, equality between men and women, it's very strange. We never have this in any of the acts. It's only here we are looking at. Evolve the capacities of disabilities, children with disabilities in all aspects. and give them their own identity. Now, these principles you will come across in almost all the sections, uh, the language in those, in different clauses. It is inherent, I'm telling you. Why am I telling you? For you people, it may not appear to have been mentioned here. But when we people have to argue the matter before the court, we have to bring out all this. These words, what appear before you, are just merely certain 2 lines or 3 lines. But when we argue, we have a whole lot of what do you call citations, cases on this. And uh, as I was telling you, you and I have a name. The first one is the name. That is also the first section. Section that please follow these numbers when I say jump to this number. The section one that talks is about the name, as I told you. Then the most important one, which what is the difference between how do you and how a layperson and a law person looks at a terminology that is used in the section is seen in the definition clause. So people just why I'm making you please go through this is related to education. Why is this lady talking all this nonsense? But when you go to 16 or 17, the language over there would talk about certain terms. How would you understand? How would the others understand about? There is a difference. So for that, please, we don't want all the readers to understand in different manner. This is how we intend you to understand a particular term. This is what is that meaning of what the word means. So this what the definitions mean. So for me, I request you now, quickly go along with me to these particular sections. Somebody's mic is not on. Yeah, please. In the definitions, uh, let's go to appropriate government B, section 2B, we call this. I won't be reading the whole thing. You people can just mark it and just understand. The word appropriate government will come across throughout in this particular act many times. Now, who is this appropriate government? Now, for that reason, they have to tell us that who is this. So here, it is a central government as well as state government. Right. Now I'll tell you, state government and central we just left. And in the first clause, you would have seen that it is cantonment is also added. Okay. Here, when it comes to second one, state government, it says any local authority. Right. Other than a cantonment board. Now, who is local authority? Again, they would have defined somewhere else. So that is how things go. So when you try to complain it somewhere, so please, you have to see that whose scheme is this. You got my point? Now, that is how we interpret whether you can stand before me or not. You have a right to stand before me or not. Who says this? The court says. I'm a district judge. Are you supposed to come to me or go somewhere else? Now, this is the clauses where they will look at. Is it a central act or this which is coming up? My voice is not clear. All others are sleeping. Right. Yeah. Right. Now, I won't go into the word barrier because you people can have look at it later on. But yes, barrier from education point of view also, it says your communicational, institutional. Please, I'm picking up only few words. I'm picking up few words which are directly related to education. Somebody's it is not clear, please adjust your own mobile or do something. Communicational, cultural, institutional, right? Attitudinal, structural factors that hampers the full and effective participation of persons with disabilities in society. Now, these barriers, these words would be interpreted differently at different situations. When I go to education, for me it is communication, right? The environmental structure, the institution, and the teacher's attitude. Please, on how a teacher should take up and face it and understand their point of view, how they should behave in a class or whatever it is. Now, so from your point of view, your attitude, all these will have an effect. So barrier, a teacher should not create. That is what is the meaning later on when we go to. Then come down to communication. F, communication. This says means and formats of communication, languages, display of text, braille, tactile communication, signs, large print, right? You can read written, audio, video, visual display, sign language, right? Alternative modes and accessible information and communication technology. Let me tell you, this each word over here has in-depth different sub meanings, and these words would have been what you call incorporated with deliberate way of deciphering and looking at the future needs and necessities of the persons with disabilities who may require these kind of methods education related. Discrimination, it's a whole lot of a big one. H, please, I'm talking about 2H, right? As I was telling you, I'll quickly jump. Please, we are not supposed to impair or nullify the recognition, enjoyment, or exercise of on an equal basis all human rights and fundamental freedoms in the political, all that words. Now, forms of, it is very difficult to say reasonable accommodation people may understand. You need to accommodate a person very reasonably. So for that very reason, I'm just telling you that discrimination may come if you are not reasonably accommodating a student in the class itself. Right. Now, come to establishment, 2I. This includes government and private establishment. Now, for you all, been defined further. Otherwise, it gets defined. Establishment, many of them may think, array, that may be a company related or employment related. No, under Companies Act and Factories Act and all that. But here we are generally saying everything that comes under government or private that is recognized as an establishment. Right. Now, let's go to government establishment. Now, establishment, because most of, yeah, please, one class here. When I go further, you would come across certain words like shall, may, what do you call, whether. Yesterday we saw some 8Ws and all. In those, now I'll include few more. When I say shall, it is general English word which says that it is understood that it is mandatory. Okay. So now I'm trying to tell, I have given this PD Act is RPD Act is meant as a directive to the governments, state as well as center and the local authorities whom we have seen above, that is appropriate governments. So when I say it is, now these people has to be defined. Now central government also will have their own establishments, be it educational center, health centers or employment centers. So to that effect, they said, this is, what do you mean by a government establishment? This should have been enacted under the Central Act. So all your national institutes probably they have come under some particular act that is from this only, this particular act. So because the act tells there should be some human resources development through certain institutions, research establishments and all that, automatically these structures would come. Along with the structure, the staff comes. Along with the staff, the what do you call sample, that is the students also will come, and then the curriculum, everything comes. So you have a huge what do you call physical as well as or what do you call human resources coming up. So for that reason, we have to say or aided. These three words are important for us. So why am I stressing so much is before you complain, not providing certain facilities or for any benefits for anyone, you have to see whether they're getting some funds or not. So this is, how do you say they are owned or what? The act which tells that a national employment sector and there is a government company, the government company will have a building. So that also is an establishment. Along with the building, there will be a canteen. That is also as part of establishment. So all this. So why am I again telling? When a government company, I think you all must be knowing, under corporate social responsibility, uh, have tied up. See, the Companies Act and Right to Education Act have got tied up together in such a manner that every company, when it makes some benefit in manufacturing certain thing, has to give a share, a percentage of it towards what do you call welfare measures, because they have snatched away certain things, certain peace, certain environmental greenery or something from that particular place. So to compensate that, they have to either provide some, so take up some corporate social activities uh, towards fulfilling what they have snatched from that particular area. So in that situation, what we do is, suppose if I have started a cement factory in this particular, let's say on the Chennai beach itself, you are not supposed to start, but you have place, you have started. Right, because the transport facility is available, ocean, sea route, and all that. But you are causing damage to the what do you call sea life. There would be a lot of biodiversity over there. So you are going to kill and waste them. So what are you supposed to do is either you should compensate that by in what do you call, there would be some fishermen and all those people around. So you have to employ them, and then you have to provide schools to them, and then you have to what do you call, train them. So you have to establish some training institutes. It's a huge factor. So this corporate social responsibility begins with a small percentage of donating certain amount to the particular government for providing them the place and all, and this also. Now, why am I telling so much is there is something, 2% of amount under Companies Act. If you start a company, has to be given under corporate social responsibility for educational purpose, and top priority, first priority is given for education only. No, I mean, if I say no, no, I'm not concerned with giving money for development of an educational institution, I'll start a temple or I'll give money for a church or anything. Please, you can do that later. First, provide money for education. That is what the impact with which all the new acts have linked with each other. So now, so here I'm telling you, this you will come across because many of the what do you call special schools or this kind of NGOs and NPOs must be getting funds from the companies through corporate social responsibility. So automatically, are they liable? They will also come under this? Yes. Then come to M, please, inclusive education. You all know very well. The keywords over here are people should be students with and without disability learn together, right? And the system of teaching and learning is suitably adapted. आ गया आपका adaptation आ गया, right? Then to meet the learning needs of different types, to meet the needs of different types. Please, this is the fundamental duty of a teacher in the class. So if the teacher's duty is to identify the different needs of the student who is standing before them, that means the head of the institution is also equally liable. It's not only that, the national institutes like this are also liable to take up surveys and find out in the regular schools through the screening procedures and seen elaborate ones. Now, I go to subsection O, 2O, right? Where all we would cover up this. This means an institution for the reception, care, protection, education. So wherever a word institution is, see, I have already meant establishment, and now the next word is institution. A layperson, but when it comes to a legal person and the courts and all, they look for this. So now institution could be any of these. So your educational institution also comes up this. Now let's go to P, local authority. Many of you had a lot of yesterday, maybe you had a doubt that who is this local authority? I mean, whom should we refer to if a problem arises? The first and foremost person to approach would be the local authority only. Now, who is this local authority? In your area, how to identify your district headquarters and all would guide you, right? So for that reason, we very specifically here mention local authority means municipality or a panchayat as defined under constitution and cantonment board. So it is already decided. Every other act also, local authority means same definition. Now you have this benchmark R, 2R, persons with benchmark disability, not less than 40%. This is the one that tells you. And mark this particular subsection because this is the group which has been specifically mentioned that they should be provided free education till 18 years. For this particular group, uh, what do you call, this group or this definition only, the Right to Education Act had to be amended with a short notice. Then, of course, come to a private establishment. Yeah, persons with disability is S. Mental, intellectual. I'm not going into your actual definitions. I'm talking only legal definitions. Now, this is person with disability, long term physical, mental, all this. Now, you may have some doubts because this list of 21 whom you have, we have seen in this RPD Act or identified, earlier they were not like that. Anybody who subsequently gets injured, a normal person, they were not getting any benefits out of this. So, for that very reason, they had to say with a long term, it's not a short term. There is temporary disablement and there is permanent disablement. This is not permanent also. The upper one is permanent. Person with benchmark is permanent. Maybe with some kind of corrective measures and all that, or education, we can bring changes in them and all that. But when it comes to this is a long term, but this is not permanent. So there is differentiation they have taken up. Now, please, private establishment, company, firm, this is again under Companies Act and all other areas where not there, but they may be under the supervision of particular state and act. Building, W, this is government or private building used or accessed by the public at large. Building used for educational, vocational purpose also. Any building which is open for all air, water, paratransit system for the last mile connectivity, road and street infrastructure. This is transportation system, please, not transport as such. The transport word comes later. This is a system that we are following. That means either you use road or rail or air or water, whatever means you travel, the whole system has to be a barrier free system for the benefit of the persons with disability. So, air travel, the doors, and all that, right? Washrooms, everything has to be redefined. That is not a big issue. The problem is coming at the transport provision wage or whatever it is, it would be particular persons. So these are the definitions, please. Any person when they want to claim something. So please don't understand in a different manner. Please try to look at this. What does this mean? Every act will have this definition class. So please look here. Now, when you look here, and then you should go into the act to that particular provision which is more concerned for you. Now, chapter 2 talks about, please, I'm touching on few sections only related to present day's topic. Section 3, rights and entitlements, equality and non-discrimination. We have seen this, right, in the principles that they should be treated equally. So the first principle already we are seeing through section 3. And two principles have been incorporated to the appropriate government also. To do what? To ensure that these people will have the right to equality, life with dignity and respect, or her integrity equally with others. Done. We have got equality and a Constitution of India, what do you call fundamental rights. Here, everything has come under one particular subclause of Section 3 only. Now, then appropriate government shall take steps to utilize the capacity of persons with disability by providing appropriate environment. Done. Mil gaya. Third one, nobody should be discriminated, right, on the ground of disability, unless it is shown that the impact, act, or omission is a proportionate means of achieving a legitimate aim, right, on the ground of disability, unless it is shown that the impact, act, or omission is a proportionate means of achieving a legitimate aim. You understood? This is the clause, please remember, that is going to help you out to bail you out of a situation. Now I'm talking from both the angles. I'll tell the rights of you, the persons with disability, as well as the duties of you people. Now that is why I was telling you, you should be diligent, you should be diligent. So subsection 3 is you have done an act of omission. That means आपने कुछ काम नहीं किया, हटा दिया. जो करना था आपने नहीं किया. Then you have done something which you understood or you knew very well that you are going to get some legitimate purposes there. Probably some particular person has to be given some medicine by a doctor. So what he will do, he will increase the dose, right? Now, the increasing of dose is for some particular reason, which he knows because he's a medical expert. Similarly, when you're giving a service to the person with disability, probably some physiotherapy exercise or something like that, I'm talking about general. Now, or rather, come to the education part. You are deciding, you have planning his educational program, and then and you know that it is a little bit tougher for him, but the end result is something good that maybe you thought would come out very quickly instead of following all the steps. So, for that reason, you should be diligent in planning whatever you are executing or you're trying to do it. Now, fourth is nobody should be deprived of personal liberty on the ground of disability. This is all very reasonable accommodation. All these are very common. I'm not touching upon. Come to four, section 4, women and children with disabilities. Right. Now, this is again, there are two subsections, but the first one is more important. They say that women and children with disability should enjoy their rights equally with others. That means it is understood very the most vulnerable group and they have been affected very seriously, severely. So we should give them equal. Second clause says very equal. You should give them their equal opportunity to express their views on all matters. Yes, Rekha Rao, you have a doubt related to the section? Rekha Rao, can ask later. Yeah. Now, I'll ask you to come to section 12, please. Access to justice. 12. Section 12, please. Section 12, access to justice. Though we are talking about uh, education rights, but if there is a violation, of a particular person's educational right, how would they go? Where would they go? Automatically, we have to cover about access to justice should be available. So they have mentioned to whom you are supposed to approach. So for that reason, this part remains authority, commission, or any other body having judicial or quasi-judicial or investigative powers without discrimination on basis of disability. That means the doors are open. Please, I'm telling again and again, the doors. Yesterday also I was telling the doors are open. We can approach the court, any tribunal, any authority, commission, or any other body having judicial or quasi-judicial. Quasi-judicialists, they are not totally judicial bodies, but they are created because they are experts in that area. For example, the in consumer protection, who is the major person who comes under consumer? It is the woman. So a woman member should be always there. And what is the qualification for her? She can be a consumer activist for all these years or whatever it is. So they would have. Similarly, when it came to your RPD Act also, when they created the commissioner's provision, they said that we need to have somebody from expert from disability section. So that is why they say you need to have two people. One person should be definitely from the field of expertise. That would be a person with disability himself, because he knows his own problem very well and his own people's problem. So now, when we say this is quasi-judicial. That means both judicial as well as an expert or a person coming from that particular area. So then, any investigative powers has been given to them to look into. So they should be able to apply systematically without any discrimination. Come to subclause 3 in this 12 का subclause में आइए. The National Legal Services Authority and the State Legal Services Authority. Yesterday I was telling you about these. Right? So in these acts, when they are framing something, they should frame for the persons with disabilities. The provision should include reasonable accommodation to ensure these people's participation also to access to any scheme, programs, or facilities or services offered by them. Yesterday I mentioned Lok Adalats. Yesterday I mentioned if you don't have money to fight a matter, the persons can approach a free legal services authorities in the district, state, and central level, and these people will do the litigation part and take the fees if at all it comes from your property. If you get the property, if not, the government will pay them. So any schemes that they make, now, when I say the schemes or programs, again, this is under rulemaking part, every state has their own flexibility. So there must be some common rules that they form that in my state, I would like to differentiate between who is a mentally retarded and who is a mentally ill person. Because most of them, they were not knowing. I'm talking about before this PD Act, RPD Act of 2016, when it was 1995 Act. The legal services authority had to tell, see, physical handicap, visual handicap, we could understand. But what is the difference between a mentally ill and mentally retarded disability? Most of the advocates were not knowing, most of the public were not knowing, most of the parents, mostly in the villages itself, they were not knowing. So, you know what they did in state of AP, at least then we had certain rules. The two rules were framed for this, and they identified through how shall we communicate, what are the what we can't say symptoms, we say that what are the features, characteristics of a mentally ill person and mentally retarded, who should be given benefit, who should not be given benefit under the PD Act, where should you direct, who can be given asylum status and all that. So this was through form of some nukkad nataks or songs and all that. That is how people legal services was creating awareness. So if at all they are framing anything like that, or they're providing any special benefit, saying that we will argue your matters, this is very much available. Now, directly, I ask you to come down to 15, please. Designation of authorities to support. Now, here, the appropriate government shall designate one or more authorities to mobilize the community and create social awareness to support persons with disabilities in exercise of their legal capacity. Right? And then he will arrange, subclause 2 says, for setting up suitable support arrangements. He can be disabilities living or whatever it is, they can take up any measures they want. Now that means from time to time, the appropriate government may appoint or designate somebody. Now, this designate is trying to catch up with the running system. So uh, I sent one of the PDFs along with this act rule. There was one more thing that I have sent. The special, what do you call, situation now, the pandemic that is going on during the lockdown. What were the measures that the local administration was supposed to do for the persons with disabilities? How should they identify what should be provided to them, how they should what do you call make a record of it, you all know very well. So this kind of designating a particular person, so who was this at the what do you call district level, it was a district welfare officer who was the nodal agency. Now they have designated through one particular notification saying that this should be done. So this was immediately applied, and I think this is still continuing. You can take up. Now we come to our topic. Now I am coming. Chapter 3 is education. Right? Now section 16 talks about what are the rights and duties. Please look at the heading of this particular section itself. It says duty of educational institutions. So now I don't need to say the word shall has been included, so it is mandatory. It is already mentioned that it is the duty of the educational institution. Now that means automatically the government, the local, right? Governments, whatever they are running in whatever manner, any educational institutions funded, recognized, right? They should provide inclusive education to the children, right? And then one, the first one word itself, clause itself is admit them without discrimination. Many of you, I think, may have this complaint that they did not admit us, the applications are not taken and all that. I'll answer to that. But let us just take this. So, what are your duty as a teacher or an educational institution service provider is this. So automatically now what it is, these are the rights of the person with disabilities. So if you don't admit, they have a right to question against this. But what is your liability? You have to show your hands very clean that for this very reason I'm not providing. Now, have I connected? Have I connected now for each area? Why you did not admit? Somebody questions, you should be able to show the records, the documents that you have maintained, or whatever it is to say that I did not discriminate. This was the purpose for which I did not take up, because I was just what do you call going through the national child women's commission's statistics that would be used for tomorrow. But again, in that I just got to uh, the NCPCR has given, the Child Protection Commission has given the statistics in 2019-20 December, that nearly 30,000 complaints have come to them from the what do you call girl children, basically because of their out. 10,000 complaints were only again about the right to education not being provided. That means they were denied admission. Go and look from the other side. Admit them without discrimination. If you show discrimination, then you please explain to us. Now this extends to sports and recreational activities equally with others. Now again, I tell you, the word sports, recreation activities will come under separate section again. As a school and as an institution providing service, you have to take care of these two. But at the same time, there is other area where you would be covered there also. Please, discrimination हो गया, accessibility हो गया, reasonable accommodation is third one. Appropriate languages, modes, and means of communication. The definition which we saw now applies here. Then detect specific learning disabilities in children at the earliest and take suitable measures to overcome all this. Then your duty is to monitor participation progress. That is, regular evaluation is very much important, so that you have to see whether the what do you call the target or the levels which you expected at the end of certain time you have achieved or not for completion of that particular educational goal, right? Then the last one, provide transportation facilities to the children with disabilities and also to the attendant of the children with disabilities having high support needs. It is not promising to everyone. It is promising only to a high support needed person. Now, who is this high support? Please, you have to go back again and look into the definition clause and then understand. I'm not saying that you people may not be knowing, you may be knowing, but still, if somebody has to look, they have to go back and come back. Now, this is how. Please admit. Your duty is to admit without discrimination, provide accessible, what do you call, building and campus and all, accommodate them in the classes if there are different people sitting in with different disabilities in your class, right? So then come to language models and all that, you have to provide them all those facilities through various schemes that are given to you. Then detect them if you find a learning disabled person or something is identified like that. So this is how the first clear cut. When I say education institution, the primary factor, the person who goes into the class, the teachers are the persons who go into the class. Head of the institution may be sitting in a place trying to coordinate and take that everything is properly implemented. But who is the person who is directly in touch with the person with disabilities? It is the teachers. So the primary duty lies with you as a service provider. Any negligence on your part is again a negligent act of the head of the institution, because he did not take care and caution to guide you or to put some what do you call, a restriction on you that you have to provide the service like this. So these are the primary duties of educational institutions. They did not say specifically a teacher's role. I repeat, they did not say anywhere teacher's role, but vicariously, we have something called as vicarious and strict liability. Strict is directly, it is visible, right? A regular classroom teacher would go with a regular curriculum, so she knows in all these sections this has to be taught on this particular time, this is done. But for special educators or special teachers like you all with different disability, students sitting in an inclusive class and all that, you may have a different goal sets. So for that reason, it is you who have to take up all the precautions. That is what is the service meant. So who has to supervise all this? Your seniors or your HODs and all. So the liability goes strictly for those activities. And here, even if some small negligent part on your part, it would immediately affect whom? The head of the institution and the institution. A teacher may be fired, may be continued, or may be admonished, or may be given a memo, or may be cautioned, or maybe the institution is at the stake for the wrong acts of the service provided by the teachers or any other person who is doing some particular activity over there as a service provider. So the activities, what we have listed over here, is not one particular teacher's right, it is institution as such. Now let us see how to promote and facilitative inclusive education. Right? Now, section 17, please. Section 17, we are talking about specific measures to promote, facilitate inclusive education. Now, this is more specifically ever after the Right to Education Act came into application. So, we had to incorporate these provisions. Now, this, uh, I think most of you must be doing in your institution. And but still, again, these are the goals for the what do you call government institutions. So, the appropriate government and the local authorities are supposed to take up this. A conduct of survey of school going children in every 5 years for identifying children with disabilities, ascertaining their special needs and extent to which these are being met. Provided that the first survey shall be conducted within a period of 2 years from the date of commencement of this act. I was trying to brush up my facts onto this. The act came in 2016, and I believe till to date, the initial survey itself has got delayed. I don't know if it is professional. I mean, in directly in your the thing, you people have any statistics, but the Right to Education Convention was calling some kind of reports, and there in one of those it has been mentioned that the feedback of implementation of Education Act in the country, and they said that it is still at the very nascent stage. So initial survey, what was supposed to be done is delayed or is getting done. Still, it is in the process. Now, you need to establish adequate number of teacher training institutions, and that is why we find that inclusive education itself has become very priority now, and how we should differentiate what are those special needs and how to go ahead. So teacher training institutions by the government is supposed to be taken up, and then we have to train and employ teachers, including teachers with disability. That is why, let me tell you here, there are, if you open up the chief what do you call, commissioner for disabilities, sorry, court of uh, sorry, if you take up the court of chief commissioners office, you will find there are lots and lots of cases coming from this area. This is, maybe you are talking about inclusive education, is not, I'm not talking from the school level only, but in future you will come across it applies to the university level education also. So many of these people, where you are employing them, you need to have the persons with disabilities teachers also. And please look at the clause breakup again, who are qualified in sign language, braille, and also teachers who are trained in teaching children with intellectual disability. That means there are multiple disabilities attached with this and all, they will be able to take care of. So the training part has to cover these three. And let me put a word here, that is why you will find most of the time now it was like flooding of lots of government school teacher vacancies by different these categories only. So they were asking for a number of what do you call years and all that, teaching experience in these areas, and be it special education and all that. Now, Now you don't need to just develop teachers, but there should be some professional staff also to support and to take up at all level of school education. Why and what do you mean by this? The staff and professional here is probably to assist your communication devices and the methods and modalities. It is not the teacher alone who teacher is just an implementer directly and a facilitator in the class. But through what mode and method they are doing, there must be a plethora of or number of professionals working behind the stage. Now, when they are doing this, they must be creating an IPR. IPR is your patents and all that they must have developed. Every time they would have developed something, a new design, a new model, they would have been thinking for renewing it again, bringing out a new one. So that is a continuous process. So that is why we said universal design and all that. So keep things changing. So these are not teachers alone in the school. There must be number of other professionals. What do you call? You have uh, physiotherapies and speech, all those trainers and all those. Now, next one is use of appropriate augmentative and alternative modes, formats, communications. As I was telling you, these are all the people who would be behind the back doing lots of innovations in this. All these are inclusive education. Provide books, learning materials, assistive devices with benchmark disabilities free of cost up to the age of 18 years. As I was already telling you, this is Right to Education Act thing that has come up with amendment that we should provide all these materials free of cost till 18 years of age. Whichever schools are being funded, right? All those people have to provide. Then scholarships, yes, suitable modifications to the curriculum and examination system that's going on, but still, maybe many places they need to incorporate. They are doing, and it has to be done. Research to improve learning, well done. We are going ahead. Then any other measures as may be required. So this one clause at the last is a very stretchable one. It is like a rubber band; it keeps on stretching. Now, what you saw in 16 is duty of the institution in providing all this. When the moment the word inclusive came, they incorporate that these are the specific measures you should include in inclusive education that you are providing under 16. So 17 is part of 16 only. But which is more lengthier and bigger one, it appears as if 17 is the largest one. Then, as part of continuous education, adult education under section 18, this is, as I told you, equally with others. So automatically, if you're having any PG courses, PG diploma courses, I'm talking about other disabilities who are doing the graduation and all other places, well and good. If they are not, they want some adult education in the evenings or through distance mode or anything of that sort. Any schemes of that kind that should be provided to them. Yeah. Can we go to section 27, please? 27.
Okay, ma'am.
Mr. Logesh, somebody, speaker. 27, rehabilitation.
Yes, ma'am.
Within their economic capacity and development, undertake or cost to be undertaken services, programs of rehabilitation, particularly in areas of health, education. So they have a right. If you're not providing rehabilitative measures, even in schools and wherever you are taking up any services related to educating them. So rehabilitation has to be there also. So it would come integral everywhere in health, education, and employment sector. So in education institution, you have to provide for those rehabilitative measures to these and towards that end, if there is any grant financial assistance, like for example you're providing wheelchairs or something like that, or any other assistance which the government gives, and support for the to the non NGOs also who are into this kind of service, because they are also an extended hand of government itself. So for that, from time to time, they should make consultation with the NGOs, because they are the actually the circulation, blood circulation that goes to the nearest veins and all that. Then, as I was telling you, the person has to be treated with dignity. We saw this culture and recreation, section 29, culture and recreation. Can we still go down? Yeah. Now here, I'm asking you to just look at section 29 G and H. Developing technology, assistive devices and equipments to facilitate access and inclusion in recreational activities. That means wherever, probably if a musical instrument or something like that, they want any changes or mics and all that, it has to be taken up even in the educational institutions. Now that is also a right. But I'm pointing out, let me tell you, I'm pointing out the rights which are spread across, because the principles are spread across in every aspect of their lives. Then come to the H. This is for hearing impairment can have access to television programs with sign language interpretation with subtitles, right? So these are for culture and recreation. It's not just education alone. Section 30, please. Sports activities. Sports. Sports authority. We have a sports authority of India, please. So this has a act also, and they take care of all those measures. So they have been instructed. Special Olympics, you all know very well that we should ensure by creating special enacting schemes and programs for the promotion of development of all this. In more than this, the teachers who are involved in training them in sports activities, so they are also supposed to be. So the special educator in a physical education center, physical education teacher also should know how to bring out the full potential in a person with disability sports person. Right. Now, can we go to section 31? Special provisions for person with benchmark disabilities. This is also free education for children. As I was telling, every child with benchmark from 6 to 18 years have to have the right to free education, where it should be in the neighborhood or in a special school of his choice. Right? Now, the two factors here. In neighborhood school, I mean, it is inclusive education. So if it is very nearer to him and he wants to go to a normal school, let him go. Now, next is in a special school. If it is very much available there, fine. Whichever is his choice. So that means we cannot discriminate when they come for inclusive education and say that, please go. We are not providing any more anything. Go to a special school. They have no way to tell this. Now, let's go to 32. 32, this is reservation in higher education institution. Till now, it was education in general, education up to school level, till 18 years, free education. Now, after that, if they want to go for higher professional or higher education, then at least there should be 5% seats for persons with benchmark disabilities. Now, if you open the website of Chief Commissioner of, Court of Chief Commissioner of Person Disabilities, you will find lots and lots of cases filed in high courts, various high courts also. Many of them have failed in achieving this. They have come to the courts and the courts have directed. But there is a reasonable explanation every time there is a denial also. For example, when the PD Act also never came, the process was still going on. A person with physical handicap went to the court saying that I want to go and do mechanical engineering. A person with both lower limbs not working properly, how can he do mechanical engineering? This was the argument. I'm telling you in very lay person's language. How can they do certain activities which require sitting, standing, pulling, take up heavy things and all that, without the aid of any crutches and all? It is highly impossible, sir. We will not give him admission. Sent out. Right? So we denied. Now, this 5%, when we are telling the same kind of justification, if it comes, now the immediate counter from my side person with who must be arguing on this. Please reasonably accommodate. Reasonable accommodation is provide him that kind of a sitting arrangement or provide him that kind of a flexibility in choosing certain subjects in mechanical engineering branch where he need not really sit and jump that can be done at a very sitting position and all that. So these kind of new outlook has come up because of inventions and all that. Now there were cases where people wanted to do medicine who visual impairment. They said, we want to do medicine. Medicine, how would you know anatomy and physiology class that this is a visual impairment? How would you know of a person? There were lots of arguments that paved way and said, wherever it is possible, let them go. But medicine, it was really because some people they got admission, they went ahead with partial visual impairment, they got admission, they came. That is a different issue. But when it comes to surgeon and surgical is master's level, that is where the problem comes. So these kind of various issues may come up. And yeah, the most recent judgment in 2019-20 was about a LLB student only. She was a visually impaired person. She did her LLB. What do you call? They allowed her to write the examination for a judicial post, but they did not allow her to face the interview and subsequently for selections. They refused. They said, a visually impaired person, how can you become a judge at a lower level? If I don't become, because special B.Ed with physical education has come at a later stage. But if those teachers are there before, and they must be trained now. Now, come to 49, competent authority. Who is this competent authority? Competent authority whom we appoint them for purposes of implementing any of these or maintain any institution and all that. This the government will appoint a authority who will register these institutions or special schools. So this is section 50 is registration. Establish, maintain any institution for persons with disabilities in accordance with the provisions provided under the sign and seal of the competent authority. Have a right. Who has a right? The person with disability has a right to know whether this institution is registered one or not. You may say you yourself can look into it. Okay, fine. But you should display it. Why am I telling is you should display your registration number and all that on your website or in application form so that they will be able to look into this. The way you are showing your registration, you the same way you have to show if your registration is not renewed or not extended further. That means you're at the verge of, the 6 months, you're at the verge of closure. This also has to be informed because all of a sudden you cannot close and cause some kind of discomfort to these people. So you have to show your identity, that registration. You have to show your disqualification and removal also. Now, if you have your registration is, this is also a right. I'm telling you. That is why I'm telling you. This is an educational right for them to under education to challenge that I have been denied proper service, incomplete services. They did not do. They promised that they would give me education till my 10th grade, but they stopped in between. All that they cannot. Now, if at all you have any issues related to appealing for this non-registration, there is 53 section that says appeal. Once it goes there and appeal is not allowed and it is rejected, it is this authority. He will, accommodate these students beforehand with their permission with different schools. This is a right again. Go to your 75, the most important person for you all, functions of Chief Commissioner. 75. You all know there are many activities you must be doing and you must be knowing this gentleman very much. But directly, when the person with disabilities, some particular right gets infringed, what is the job of a chief commissioner? How is he going to work? But look at the B, please. My concern is that inquire suo moto or otherwise deprivation of rights of persons with disabilities and safeguard available to them in respect of matters for which the central government is take up from appropriate authorities for corrective action. That means he has a right. His right has come from here that he can sit and correct other persons who are denying the rights of the person with disabilities. This is the power from where he's sitting in the shoes of a judicial authority. It's not total judicial, it's a quasi judicial. So he's sitting in the position of that place to look, safeguard the interest of the persons with disabilities and their rights. Then, what is he supposed to do? Now, the procedure or powers are given. Yesterday, I was telling you when I was showing you the hierarchy, the special courts, all that I showed you, municipal magistrates, and then we go up till Supreme Court. Now, this person is not coming into that, and they are this particular act. So, this person, what he'll do once a complaint comes to him, he will address it to the person against whom the complaint has come. He will send him a letter of notice. Within 30 days, you come and stand before me and try to justify why you denied this or why you did this or why you did not do this. So, act of commission or omission, these are the two things that they come up. So, now this person, if he justifies, fine. That is what is given in your 76, 77, the procedure, whatever we are telling, that will come again in the rules also. Now, action of appropriate authorities on recommendation of Chief Commissioner. So this person has to reply back, tell him that why they did not fulfill this. The whole complaint, from the date of filing of the complaint till the decision of the commissioner, it should not exceed more than 3 months. He should complete the whole proceedings within 3 months. Now you just tell me one thing. If somebody has not put the road properly, the ramps were supposed to be provided, they did not do it, will you get the information back within 3 months from that particular PWD department? If the transport section is getting affected, the information has gone to them. Replying will take some months together because there is no alternative arrangements made to that particular structure called as a bus or sitting arrangement or something. Your institution doesn't have special arrangements for the special the toilets supposed to be used for these people. To take construction again, the government institution has to apply for financial approval. How much time it will take? Are you understanding me? It is becoming very difficult for them within 3 months to get information back from concerned authorities. That why? So that is why usually, though the procedure says 3 months, it will take years. Right now, powers is harsh, like your police taking up, confining, and all that with bails and all that kind of very simple procedures, not troubling anybody. So here, like enforcing, calling, summoning, and all that. So similarly, the way you have I repeat, you have chapter 12, 74 is appointment, 75 is functions. Out of that section, subsection B, subclause B is the main one, from where your commissioner's office and his court functions have come. Others are promote awareness and all. I'm not going into that. Then this particular powers of, lot of complaints because you promised to do this review, you did not review the safeguards, you did not protect any remedial measures, all those kind of things, they can be challenged against the commissioner. But his duty, sitting as a chief commissioner or in the state level as a state commissioner, he has to look into the issue that has come before him related to education and write to the concerned authority. Now, who is the right concerned authority here? You please come down to the special courts. Yeah, one more minute, please. Again, you people will have doubts. Yesterday, I was showing this hierarchy there. If the authority is final, please. If the matter has come before the chief commissioner, it is he who has to decide. If you're not satisfied with his decision, you can go to the next appellate authority. Who is this next appellate authority? Who has been appointed by the central government. Now, he must be some expert in the area of disability who is sitting in that level. It is his final authority. Now, after he also gives his decision and you don't like it, you have no other way. We have closed this. You have to accept whatever the commissioner says. That's it. So, but what is the remedy then? Can you really go further? Yes, yesterday I was telling you there would be SLPs, there would be reviews and revisions of all this. You can come to the courts outside. Now, if if there is no accessibility to the state commissioners and all these people, there is something called as special court under Section 84. These special courts, yesterday I was telling you, are at the district level. So directly, if a person who is denied in school education, where will he go? Where will he go? He'll go to the district level officer, telling that who is his district welfare officer. Every state will have a nodal officer who will be looking into what do you call the rights, educational rights. The principal officer to whom you should go in your district level is a nodal officer who's been appointed or who has been designated to take up these issues. So now, when we approach him, it is he who should look into these matters. If he is not available, please you can directly go to the district court, because that is the first instance been given a power to look into the educational rights. Denial of right to education, you can just do. And if it's a girl child, now there is women's commission with again your so-called national commission for protection of child rights. They are also taking complaints. There are many forums that have come, so we are cutting down on all that and we say come only at one place simultaneously, please. 4-5 जगह आप कंप्लेंट मत डालिए, आपका कुछ नहीं होगा. If you want to approach one particular method. That is the procedure we are asking you to follow. Approach your nodal officer. If they can resolve that issue by giving a notice and making them sit and all that. If it is not possible, refer the matter to the state commission. That is the only simplest method of flow. If you cannot do this, because these are the speediest ways in which you are supposed to be given. But one drawback is the execution power is not with the commissions. They will again direct them to the regular police or regular educational executives and all those. So most of them don't have faith or trust or anything in these commissions and they approach courts. So that we have seen in PDA. That is why we find a little bit more power has been given to the commissioners here in this act. Now, so for that very reason, keeping that in the mind, they have legal accessibility as a provision given to us. So let us make them, or let us provide them with the facility of going to regular courts. So the special courts of civil in nature at district level, sessions court level, you can approach for these issues. Now, other offenses and penalties we can be taken up tomorrow. I'll ask you to please quickly go to the rules, please. The Rights of Persons with Disabilities Rules 2017. Okay? Are we there? Are we there?
Yes, ma'am. Then other one, no, ma'am. Is that the other one?
The other one is the rules.
Gazette of.
Gazette.
Okay.
GSR 591.
Yes.
GSR 591. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah.
Just.
Section 3, just now what I told you the procedure. Just now what I told you, refer to the nodal officer and all that. Now, Section 3 will tell you that under the rules. It will tell you establishment not to discrimination on the ground of disability. So head of the institution shall not discriminate. He should not misuse or deny any of these. So, yeah. Okay, are you there? My concern is most of them they try to project their research work by giving some sample study. So section 5 of this rules cautions us, especially the teachers and all, persons with disability not to be a subject of research. He should not be a subject of research except when the research involves physical impact on his body. That means if your actions are going to help, if your action is going to help, right, in improving his physical status, right? So you cannot please use without the permission. Is again, this also has certain with the permission, with what do you call, with the guardian's permission and all, you can publish and all that. But otherwise, no, please, you cannot make them your research one. Now, the nodal officer about whom I am telling was in the act. They have said that a particular authority would be given. So this chapter 3, especially nodal officer in the district education office. Now, section 7 talks about this person. He will be taking up all matters relating to admission of children with disabilities and the facilities to be provided to them. So, we saw section 16 that said inclusive education and all this. And 31 said free education till 18 years of age. Okay, those two are in the hands of your nodal officer in the district education office. I think many of you got your answer, but if this guy is not helping, what are you supposed to do? I already mentioned that. Please, then you have to complain to the higher authorities, that is your chief state commissioner or chief commissioner. Now I think I have come to uh, 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 yes. Yes. From till here, I have related to education. What are their rights? What are your duties? And whom you can approach? I mean, the person with disabilities. And what should be your answer? So, what due diligence you should take in cases uh, where you are dealing with? What records you have to maintain? If the head of the institution gives you some direction, you have to follow them. I think I stop at this and leave for your doubts.
Ma'am, there is a
I
question in the chat.
already told you 2019-20 December NCPCR website. You can go ahead. Probably it would be provided.
Yeah, ma'am, good evening. This is Rekha from first year B.Ed. The presentation was actually very good. Thank you for it. So the thing is, I mean, there are a lot of the sections that you mentioned. I have a basic question here, like how do we refer? Suppose a person comes to me with some problem, then how should I refer to these sections? Because if you see under education or anywhere else, suppose say somewhere the section number is mentioned and under that there are Roman numerals, and again in another section if you see say section 17 there is ABC something like that. So how I mean this indexing thing, what is this, how does it hold significance, and how do I refer to multiple sections because you see there's a difference.
1 minute, 1 minute. We are not expecting you to argue a matter on behalf of a person who is standing before you, please. You are not a lawyer. If
No,
you don't know, then you would do it. Please, 1 minute. The
yeah.
purpose is to make you understand what
Mhm.
is there in this act. So if somebody comes to
Okay.
you asking that I did not get admission, so at least you
Mm.
should be able to know that RPD Act or somewhere I read about or I knew about education. I read about that ma'am told something about nodal officer. There
Mm.
must be, you are working in some particular district somewhere. So or some particular state where the nearest educational officer keeps coming to your office. Obviously. Or
Mhm.
you can send them to your administration and they will guide them to that education department. But if you are the person who is denying, or then you don't have any right. And I told you, if you are registered, you have to display. And let me tell you, all this information about who is your nodal officer, what is it, the website of what do you call, disability, this website is already given everything. So they have information available everywhere. Only thing is, the purpose is not to make you go through or run through these provision and pinpoint. Please, even if you do that, you may not be able to justify because you need to have lots of preparation for the documents part, which is not possible for anyone. Even if some case comes to me, it is
Yes,
it is
yes, true.
impossible
Yeah,
for me to go and
yeah.
get it. It is half the thing. The person only has to bring it and give it to me. I cannot run around. So it is not you who will go through all this. You just know that
Okay.
yes, this is there.
Just for awareness purposes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right?
that's it.
Yes,
That's
that's
it.
it. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Fine. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, that was the only doubt that I had because a lot of sections, and if we had to refer all of these things, then we would, yeah. Okay, ma'am. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, any more? Hello?
Yeah, anybody wants to ask any questions? Yeah, you please unmute yourself and ask, or else.
Done?
Yes.
Somebody's-
Okay, ma'am. It looks like
See,
everything is covered. Yes,
no,
ma'am.
no, no, no. Only doubt would come only in two situations. When you know you heard everything, and you never. So this is the second option. I think.
Yes,
No, no.
yes.
Please, I again would like to say something that this particular run through of the sections is not intended to make you people confused or anything. It is only to, I don't know if you were already knowing or if not, related to education. Please don't look just under 16 or 17. My intention was that you are supposed to look into section 16, read with section 2F, read with so and so, read with so and so. इतने सारे sections हो जाएंगे वहां पे आप लोगों को समझ में नहीं आएगा. Then you will start running around that ये क्या क्या है. Yeah, that guy must have compiled everything related to education. Must have they promised this principles. That principle is underlying in 16. This principle is underlying in 31. This is here. This is here. Got my point? That is why I try to show you all this like this. Right.
Yes, ma'am. And one question, Anjali Kumari have posted. Any student can take student loan. I think we have not been talking about that in this presentation, ma'am. Any can take student loan.
Which student is she talking about?
I mean, yes, Anjali Kumari, can you please unmute? Yes. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Yeah. Who's that?
One student from
Yeah,
UPT.
yeah.
Yeah, please ask your question. We didn't understand. We didn't understand it properly. Like you want to ask, like student with disability, can they take student loan or something? Yeah, yeah, please ask Anjali.
Okay, let her write it. Huh? Tomorrow we can take it otherwise. But let me clarify whatever it is. If she as a student of special education wants to take a loan studying in some other institution, maybe she can take. But for person with disability, already I told you there are many schemes that are available and they're being provided free education till 18 years. What is the need for taking a loan? Okay?
Yes, I hope you have answered.
No, no, let her
Yeah,
come
let her.
properly. Okay?
Yeah, okay, okay, ma'am. She yes. I'm seeing her comment, ma'am. She said okay and thank you.
Okay, okay, fine.
Okay. Now we have come to the end, ma'am. So we will any other questions you have, you can ask now or we can see it tomorrow. Also fine.
Ma'am, good evening, ma'am. This is Nurjan.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am,
No questions as of now, ma'am. So we can
ma'am, this
wind
is
up the
Nurjan from
session.
MA.
Hello.
Due to the heavy rain, the overall
Yes.
program. Could you tell PT, ma'am?
We are not able to hear you. You are not audible, please. Yeah, there is one more question like what is the difference between NGO and non-government agency, ma'am?
No, that was company, I think.
Non-government company.
Who's that? With what background the person has asked? NGO is
Yes.
non-governmental organization.
Yes.
But there is no non-governmental company. nahi hai. There is a private company.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
It's a private company. Okay, both are different. There is NPO, non-profit organization. Somebody is asking something.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we are hearing. Yeah, please say it loudly. Yeah, or else write in the chat. One more is difference between establishment and institution.
Please ask them to refer to the definition clauses.
Okay. One more question, ma'am. I'm handling a special child. As you said, till 18 years, they have right to free education. This is the question is written, ma'am. So whether is that up to 18 years they are free, they have the right to free education. In some schools, they are asking. It seems asking about
Yeah, understood.
payment.
That is why first I asked you to look for what kind of institution is this? Is it a fully funded one or not funded one? If it is not funded, they will definitely ask you fees. Okay. Are you here? This was Mr. Ahmed, no?
Yes.
If it is funded, it is free education. So you should know the rule position there. So for that, you have to see whether what kind of
Yes. Replied as he got it.
Okay.
I hope he understood.
Very intelligent people.
Okay, ma'am. We will end this session, ma'am. If there is, can NGO end amount?
Again, it is a non-governmental organization. It is an extension or it is a hand extension of government, right? And what is the status of NGO? You should find out. Is the government still giving them money to run that whatever schemes they have provided to them? If they have stopped funding, then they have a right to take. But they have to display, show the accounts and everything, saying that this is no more being funded by the government. And usually NGOs, when they are not funded, either they become private, okay, they can choose to become totally private, or they can close. Now, the way you said, if they're taking it up, please try to find out under what policy they have been funded, how much. If it is half something and all, they say that you can take fees percentage this much or something like that. The time of they being given, then we cannot ask. But how much are they charging? Is there any, like out of 100 rupees, probably 25 you can charge. This much leverage was given to them. Then it is fine. Otherwise, no, please. If it is fully funded, they cannot. It should be free education.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.